Hey everyone, welcome.
Hey, we're so
I,
happy to have you here today. Thanks for coming to
yeah,
our webinar. We're excited to see everybody today.
Melanie and Jen are here, and so are all of you. So really excited. Make sure that you are doing comments and putting things in the comments because I can see everyone from YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. I think I can see LinkedIn. Let me see here. Yeah, no, they're having a problem with LinkedIn, but it's going to try again. So we'll just let it try.
There's always tech.
Well, we want to get started. I'm sure that it's going to be maybe a couple minutes before more people come because it's right
Yeah,
at the top
and
of the
we
hour right
will
now.
answer questions. So you're going to get a chance to do questions with us, all your burning questions about book writing and book marketing. But we're really focusing on book writing today and a little bit of marketing as well.
Yes. Well, let's dive in. It looks like we've got someone here from Panama. So Dorothy's here. Hello,
Wow,
Dorothy.
welcome, Dorothy, all the way from Panama. Woohoo!
Right.
Love it.
And Zulkarnain is here. We're glad to have him.
Yeah.
And anyone else, if you want to put in where you're calling in from, put it in the comments and we can pop up your name as well.
Yep. And I'm in Houston, Texas today. And Jen, tell them where you're from.
Yeah, I am in, well, I was going to say I'm from Wyoming, so I'm not in Wyoming though. I am in Utah, so I'm in Salt Lake City today. Melanie's down in Houston. We have Diana here from Wisconsin. Hey, Diana.
Woo! Diana, yay!
And we've
Love
got
Diana.
Bella here from LA. Welcome, Bella. All right, awesome. All right, well, we're going to get started. I'm going to tell you a little bit about me first. So I'm Jen Foster, and I'm one of the owners of Elite Online Publishing. And I am a Wall Street Journal bestselling author, and I have over 16 books, so that's pretty fun. I love saying how many because I try and keep up with my mentor who also has about 16 books. And back in the day, I was known for having over 20 kiosks, 20 stores, retail stores in Utah, California, and Washington. But what I'm known for today is I've published over 3,000 books, and I've helped over 300 people become bestsellers on Wall Street Journal, USA Today, and Amazon.
And you know what? I'm originally from Michigan, but landed in Texas. I'm also a Wall Street Journal, USA Today bestselling author. And I do try and keep up with Jen. I think I have either 15 or 16 books. She might be one ahead of me on the bestseller list. And I started out my career as a newscaster in Detroit and then became a television producer and then became a TV station owner. All I had was a piece of paper with my then husband, and we started a TV station right here in Houston, Texas, just from scratch, and then bought another one in Dallas and turned those TV stations into over $100 million businesses. And that was really, really a fun and challenging experience that I had. And then I dove into real estate development, and an investor. And I still do some of that today. And then a little fun fact about me that I usually don't like to share. But when my friends find out, they're like, I'm telling everybody. So I was Miss Michigan and I was first runner up to Miss America. So I usually kind of keep that under wraps, but I'm sharing that today because I've been encouraged to do that. But now I am the co-owner with Jen of Elite Online Publishing, and we're on a mission to have people just like you and thought leaders and business owners write their story, leave a legacy, and have a book that not just leaves a legacy, but maybe also helps their business, their brand, and their credibility. So we have a lot we're going to teach you today. We don't have time to teach you everything Jen and I know over the last 8 years in publishing, plus what we've learned from our business background. But we're going to give you a lot of ammunition to get that book going, get it started, have an outline for your book. So here's what we're going to be going through. We're going to go through how a book can grow your business and increase your income, teach you how to write a compelling book and content quickly, and how to incorporate AI into your writing. So AI is all the rage. If you haven't incorporated it, you're going to learn how to do some of that here today, and how to write your book to be a bestseller, and how to help your business grow with and your brand with a book.
Yeah, and I feel like people will use books now for their business card. So instead of having a business card, you want to use a book. Because when was the last time that you threw a book away? Put in the
Never.
comments if you've ever thrown a book away. But when was the last time you've thrown a business card away? Probably
Or
everyone is throwing
or
a
one of those
pumpkin.
flyers you get in the mail. I get those big flyers all the time, and I constantly throw them in the trash because I don't even read them. I'm like, trash, 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 boom. But if someone sends me a book in the mail, I'm like, hey, look at this.
Right. So you'll never throw a book away. Well, we're gonna get started. I do want to welcome Catherine from Garland, Texas. She says, "Go Texas Rangers."
Woo!
And
Yes.
we also have
Congratulations.
we talked about Zulkarnain earlier, but he is from Pakistan. So welcome. And all right, so let's
Yeah, I
dive
love
into
that we have
this.
people from all over the world. I want to start out by telling you a little bit of a story. So, years ago, I was going to build a house, decided to build a house. And the first thing I did was I hired an architect. He did all the plans, we got all the engineering. And then I decided, well, I really need to hire a general contractor to help me run the whole thing because I figured it's a big project. But I soon learned a few months in that the general contractor was in way over his head and the whole house was becoming a big mess. I was frustrated with it. So I thought, I bet I could do this on my own. I think I'll be fine. I mean, I run $100 million company. I'm sure I can be a general contractor for a house. I can look things up on the internet. I can ask my friends. I knew some people in the construction business. I can DIY this thing. I got my stuff together. I can do this. I was totally confident. And so I fired the general contractor and, I started diving in and dealing with all the subcontractors and hiring subcontractors on my own. And I was doing this while I was still doing my day job at the TV station. And I had 2 toddlers at the time on top of this. But I have to tell you, soon I realized there was a lot to keep track of. I was starting to get over my head. There was a lot of moving parts. I was struggling to keep track of everything. I was making mistakes. It was costing me money and time. I was forgetting things. I was missing some details. And I have to tell you, it was such a headache. You're not going to believe how long it took me to get this house done. It took 5 years, 5 long years to get this house done. I mean, the good news is it finally got done. And it was really a beautiful house. But every day I would look at it and I'd be like, well, this didn't turn out right. Like the air conditioning wasn't right, didn't get put in right. There was just little details and I just wasn't happy with it. So I decided to build another house. So this time I decided I am getting a general contractor, but not just any general contractor. I'm going to get one who has a great, great reputation, that really knew what they were doing, had a true history of success, and that would work really closely with me and pay attention to all the details and made sure that my needs were met. And you're not going to believe this. This house was equally as big and it was done in 8 months. And everything was fabulous. I loved everything. There was no headaches. And you know what? I would have built a dozen houses with this guy. I told him so. It was just such a great, great house. And building this house in the story is a lot like writing and publishing a book. I know there's a lot of you out there and you've maybe tried to write a book and get it done. Maybe you haven't, or maybe it seems like it's just been overwhelming to you. You stopped and started. Or maybe you did get some help, but it wasn't the right help or the right publisher or the right marketing team or book coach. And you thought, you know what? A lot of people are self publishing now. I'm going to do this myself. I can do it. I'm going to ask my friends. I know some people have published their books. I can research on the internet. I got my stuff together. I can do this. But when you try and write or publish a book on your own, you might have found or you will find that there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot to learn. You're going to have trouble keeping everything straight. You're going to end up making mistakes. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to miss some details along the way. And it's going to become a big headache and there's going to be delays. And you know what? You might not be happy with the end of the project. And you know what? That's exactly what I said when I built my house, the same thing. But you know what? You do have a choice. You can do it right from the beginning, right from the start. You can do it right. You can get someone to help you who does have a history of success and that can work with you closely every step of the way and get the book done right in a short period of time. I believe that the book that you've been wanting to write and it will help you become a bestseller, the thing that helps you build your brand and the business you want. It's something that you'll be proud of when you get your book done. And that's exactly why Jen and I are here today. We want to help you get the tools that you need to do it right because your book doesn't have to be a headache. It can be a joy and have a lot of fun doing it. So, Jen and I, over the past 8 years, have helped hundreds of people who want to write and publish their book just like you. And we've made them all best-selling authors. So in the next 30 minutes, we're going to teach you these things, how you can grow your business and increase your income with a book. And why this is important is because that keeps the momentum going. If you don't know why you're writing your book or that you're going to make money from your book, people ask us, what's the ROI all the time? You might lose momentum or put it on the back burner. We're going to teach you how to write compelling content quickly. This is also important because, again, it keeps the momentum. You don't get stuck in that writer's block. How to incorporate AI into your writing. I want to know, put in the chat, how many of you are using AI to do anything right now? And you know what ChatGPT is. So if you don't know, your eyes are going to be open today. And if you do know, we're going to show you some tricks and tips that we use to help you with your writing. And we're going to show you how to write a book that'll hit bestseller status. So it's really important to keep those things in there. And we're going to give you some tips for your launch as well. So let's get started.
Awesome. Well, we have a little bit of technical difficulties before we start and dive into the training. So I just want to ask you, Melanie, are you using the right Wi-Fi at your house? Because you froze like 3 times. So,
Yeah,
and we have a
I
couple
am on the
comments
right
in there saying
Wi-Fi.
they can hear you, but you were frozen.
Darn. Yeah, I am on the right Wi-Fi.
Okay. So let's just keep going. Hopefully we won't freeze again, but hopefully you could hear that great story that Melanie told, because it's true. If you don't have the right people in your corner, and it's not going to work out, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's dive into some training. So I'm going to dive into that right now. So the big thing is, how can you grow your business with a book, and how can you increase your income as well? Well, first I want to talk to you about Jamie Kern Lima. So I don't know if you have heard of her, but she started It Cosmetics. I'm actually using her concealer right now. But what do you think that she did? The very first thing she did after she sold her company for $1.2 billion to L'Oreal. Put in the comments what you think that she did. And let's see. What do you think she did? It was to write a book. Yep, you guessed it. She wrote a book. And not only did she write a book, but it helped her build her platform. And she was a thought leader, a speaker, and she got her message out there. And I think Melanie and I saw her on maybe 3 or 4 stages. So we heard her speak several times. And she was a big success with that first book. So now that she has been a thought leader and a speaker, and people know her story, what do you think her next big move is? Her second thing that she's going to be doing, it's that she's writing a second book. So if you're wondering if writing and publishing a book is worth it, well, if someone who created a billion-dollar company is writing a book, not only one book, but she's written 2 books, then don't you think a book is a good way to increase your business and launch your brand? And it will give you credibility in the marketplace as well. So one of our clients, Kate DeLeo, she launched her bestseller with us, and she started to get asked to speak on stages. And so she went to New York to speak on stage. And after her talk, someone came up to her and approached her and asked her if she wanted to speak on 12 more stages. And not only were they going to pay her to speak on those stages, but they were going to pay for her travel expenses as well, and her lodging. So she has earned over 5 figures doing this. And that was just in the first week that she started speaking. Another one of our clients, Lauren Golden, she published her book with us, The Free Mama, and she was also selling one of her courses and to help moms to leave their jobs and become freelancers. And within the first week of her book becoming a bestseller, she started selling more memberships, and she got a lot of people coming into her course that had read her book. So we know that your book will help your business. So I have a book called Books to Bucks. I don't know if you guys have read it or not, but I wrote it with Everett O'Keefe. And in there we have 20 ways to make money with a book. But first I want to teach you my favorite way, because I don't have time to teach you all 20 right now. But my favorite way to make money with a book is the foot in the door strategy. And what you want to do with this, you want to get your pen and paper out and take notes on this. But what you want to do is you want to mail your book to your prospective client. Now, there's multiple ways you can do this. You can buy a bunch of books and mail them out from your house and have a personal note, like on a card or a letterhead, and sign it personally. Or there's a really cool thing called Amazon Prime. and you ship your book within 2 days to wherever you want in the world, and you can leave a note and have it gift wrapped. So there's a little option on Amazon where you can check mark gift wrap and leave a note. And then you can put in that note, hey, check out page 50, I know it will help your business. Or check out page 50, I know it will help you. So have some kind of personal note in there on the note. We've even seen people who will do a YouTube video, and you can make like a 30-second video or a minute video, and you can upload it to YouTube and you mark it as unlisted. That means that the only people who have the link can see it. So you could do a very personal message with even their name in it, or you could do more of a generic message that you could use multiple times. And you can put that link in the note. So it can say, check out my 30-second YouTube video. And then they can see that and look at your book. So it really gives you a lot of credibility. One of our authors, Clark East, he wrote a book about his transformational story about the real estate crash of 2008. It was called Life is a Series of Unexpected Interruptions. And he gives his new prospective clients the book. And after they've read the book, they work with him and he closes deals because of his book, because that gives him that credibility. And I think it's just a great way to do that.
So you can really see how a book can be powerful for your business, right? You can use it to help launch a membership, or for your consulting, or even to get your foot in the door to get those clients that you've been wanting to get that you can't get past the gatekeeper. We always encourage our authors to have a second platform, whether it's speaking, consulting, coaching, or it's your business, like Clark is a real estate developer, to use it for that bigger end as a marketing tool for you to use. So it's really a powerful tool. So whenever you're stuck in your reading or your writing, I mean, just think about it. How many new clients is this going to get? I always say, how much is a new client worth to you, or a new speaking gig worth to you? And then how much is the lifetime value of that? So if you're speaking, how many clients do you get from a speaking gig? Clark, I think he's done 6 Starbucks since he wrote his book that he's done the land deals for. So think about what the lifetime value of that is in the investment of a book.
Yeah, it's huge. Okay, so get your notebooks out. So now I'm going to get into the next steps, which is how to write compelling content quickly. So get your pens and papers out. So I don't know about you, but maybe you can put in the comments, what is the best way that you write? Like, a lot of people will write longhand on their notebooks. Some people type, they're really good typers. And other people just want to talk their book. But I have a really good way, and you might have heard this before, but I have a really good way to write your book fast. So get the note. Bella has her notebook ready, she says. So that's good. Oh, and this is a good comment from Diana on what she thought Jamie Kern-Lima was going to do after she sold her company for $1 billion. Go on vacation. I thought that was cute. All right, so let's dive into this. So what you want to do is what we call our 10 by 10 by 3 strategy. And you might have heard me talk about this before, but if you've heard me tell about it before, and you know what happens when you keep hearing things over and over, it means the universe is trying to tell you something. So the 10 by 10 by 3 strategy is how I wrote a lot of the books that I have out there. So what you want to think of is the top 10 frequently asked questions. Now, one of my very first books I wrote was Video Marketing for Professionals. And that's what I did. I wrote down my top 10 frequently asked questions. Melanie also used this formula to write her book. It was the best restaurants and attractions in the Dominican Republic. She was raising money for charity for her Dominican Republic villa. And she wrote that book, and it still sells today. And she put in there the top 10 frequently asked questions. So write down the top 10 frequently asked questions of your business. And then you also want to write the top 10 should ask questions. So these are the questions that if your clients or customers knew what you knew, then they would ask you this question. So that's what you want to write down as the 10 should ask questions. Then once you have all those questions written down, then you have to go back and put the answers in for each question. So it might take a little time to do that. But then you want to write down 1 to 2, maybe even 3 stories or examples for each question and answer. And people will gravitate to stories, right? They say story is king, right? So you want to give real life stories from your own experience, or if you can't think of something, you could also tell an experience from someone else's story, because it's just as powerful. And then, of course, you want to wrap it up by tying in a lesson or how they can apply it to their life from that question and story. So that is my number one way to write compelling content. My number two way, another great way, is just to write down your top objections. So what are the top objections in your company, your primary objections for your potential clients? And then write down, of course, the solutions to these objections. And then you can add story to that. And then the number three way, I'm going to ask a question for you to put in the comments here, is who here has a blog or a podcast? If you have a blog or a podcast, a blog on your website or a podcast, say yes in the comments. And if you have a blog or a podcast, what that means is that you already have content. So what content do you already have that you can repurpose? We know a couple guys who repurposed all of their blogs, put them into a book, and then they turned it into a documentary. It's called The Minimalist. You can find them on Netflix. They actually have 2 books now because they did a book tour, and their second book is all about how they did their book tour. And then they have a second movie on Netflix, documentary on their second book. So you can repurpose your content. Diana has a blog. That's great. All right. So yeah, the minimalists are great. Melanie, do you remember the minimalist story?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And, I love the story about the podcast. Jen and I really believe in this so much. We wrote a book about it, Podcast Authorized, how to turn your podcast into a book or a book into a podcast. So if you do have a blog or a podcast, we talk about doing it on purpose, right? Get that outline that we're going to work on for your book. Like take those top frequently asked questions or should ask questions or objections, and then turn those into a blog. And then you can curate those blogs to create your book. So, so you're not doing the work twice. You're starting out once. You're like, oh my gosh, while I'm writing these blogs or I'm doing these podcast episodes, I'm actually creating my book at the same time. So I think that's a great tip.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're going to get into what everyone wants to hear about, which is AI.
Yeah.
So artificial intelligence. And if you haven't heard about AI, then you probably live under a rock because everyone's talking about it. But what we want to talk about is, first off, what AI tools to use, and then second is how do you incorporate it and not get in trouble, right? So we don't want the AI police to come after us. So first, I just want to explain that we've been using AI for over 3 years. We've been using an AI tool called Jasper, and we've been using that for a long time. But in December, ChatGPT came out. And I was telling Melanie today, one of the clients I was talking to this week called it ChatGPT. I thought that was cute. It's ChatGPT is what it's called. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that when you're using ChatGPT, that you're not just giving it generic questions or asking it generic things. So the AI is only going to be as good as as good as the person typing in the prompt. Does that make sense? So a lot of people have complained that AI doesn't have feeling or it's not like compelling because it's just blah, blah. Well, that's because they asked it in a blah way, right? Like you can't ask it to do something and expect something great if you didn't tell it what to do, like all the way. So I'll give you some examples of this. I'm actually going to share my screen and show you in real time. But the other thing I want to explain is that when you use ChatGPT, when you use AI, you have to edit it. You can't just copy and paste it. You really need to dive in and make sure it's in your voice and edit it and make sure it sounds like you, right? And not like AI. So Amazon actually just recently came out with a statement that said that they require you to inform them of the AI generated content. So if you have text or images or you've translated it with AI, then you have to divulge that. You have to say that when you're submitting the book to Amazon. And so when you publish a new book or make edits, or even if you republish an existing book, you have to disclose whether you used AI generated content fully or that if you used AI generated content like partially. So you really have to make sure that you're not just, copying and pasting and that you're not just having AI do the whole thing for you and you're not editing it all, because then it's going to be a low quality book. Don't you agree, Melanie?
I agree 100%. Yeah. I would say, I was just writing some notes down that I think you can use AI also for the most frequently asked questions, right? You can say,
Mhm.
what are the frequently asked questions for your industry or what you're doing? You can also use it. What are the biggest objections that people give for my business that they don't want to sign up for my product or service? If you're coaching, why do people not want to sign up for coaching? So you can ask it that. And it's really like an idea starter. So you can take that. So what I'm saying is you have no excuse for writer's block in a way, because it gives you those ideas that you can take and then edit from there.
Yeah. It looks like we have a couple questions. We'll take some at the end. I'll come back to your question at the end because I want to share my screen and dive into the AI right now.
Yeah.
So let me go ahead and share my screen. Well, first let me tell you what I'm gonna show you is, instead of just typing in like write my chapter outline, I'm gonna put in to have it be more informative. I'm gonna tell AI to have it be more humorous, and then I'm gonna have it tell to be more descriptive. So let me share my screen. Share. And then I'll select, okay. Can you see my screen now, everyone? Can you see that, Melanie? I think so. Okay. So what I did was I said, write a blog post about real estate investing for fall. Now, what if I just said that only? If I only told the AI to write a blog post about real estate, it would have just given me a generic blog post. But instead, I added this prompt, and you can take notes on this. So what you want to write is, elevate my text with a wealth of information, intricate details that will not only educate, but also empower my readers, leaving them informed and enlightened. So you can see here that it started writing a blog post for fall for a real estate investor to seize opportunities amidst the foliage. So here it gave a little introduction paragraph, and then it went through and left, how to do real estate for fall. So I thought that was a really good blog post with lots of information. Of course, you'd want to edit that, add your own stuff into it. So now I asked it to write a chapter outline for a real estate book that's different than other real estate books out there. Now, I could have just stopped there, but instead, I want to have more details and really tell AI what I want. So I said, inject my text with a witty comedic flair that leaves my readers in fits of laughter that are thoroughly entertained. And I thought this was a really cool prompt. So I want you to take notes on that one, because it's important to have laughter and smiles in your life. So you don't want just a boring book, right? So I really loved what Chat came up with, the chapter outline for this. It's called Real Estate Unleashed, Navigating the Wild World of Property with a Dash of Laughter. So I thought that was really cute. So each chapter actually gives you ideas of what you could put in each chapter. So you could totally come up with stories if you're a realtor to just dive in and start going through this and having, exactly what to write in your book. The last example I did for someone who does NLP. So I have a friend who does hypnosis and neuro-linguistic programming. Chat knew what that was. So I said, write a chapter outline for a book about training your brain with NLP. But then I added in the information, right? So elevate my text with a wealth of information. You heard me say this one before. Intricate details that will not only educate, but also empower my readers, leaving them informed and enlightened. And look how great, even the title is really close. Mastering Your Mind, a comprehensive guide to brain training with neuro-linguistic programming. So it gives out all the chapters, 10 total chapters for NLP, which is really cool. Emotional mastery, effective communication, self-transformation. I mean, so many great things, right? So I want to kind of go back to the chat right now, and let's see if, tell me, someone who's listening, put in the chat what your profession is, and we will have, we will do a real-time example.
Yeah.
So
I'll answer the one question we had about audiobooks.
okay.
So I have an opinion about, AI generated audio versus the author's audio or a professional audio. I'm going to say that you can really tell with what we've monkeyed around with that it is AI. Like you can tell, oh, that sounds like AI. Nothing wrong with that, but Amazon is going to want you to say that it's AI generated. And the most powerful audiobook is when the author does the audio themselves. Couple reasons. It's your voice, you're interjecting. Plus, Amazon lets you have a little bit of a fudge factor, like up to 5%, where you might be reading your text from your book and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't tell this story. I should tell this story. So you can throw some other things in there that makes it even more special, right? When they get the audiobook. So I highly recommend first that an author should do it themselves. Second, I would say is hire a professional human to do it. I think that's the best way because they just have more feeling in their voice, and you can train them. We're working with a book right now to do the audio, and they really want him to have emotion through the book, and you're not going to get that with AI. So the third choice would be to do AI for the voice. That's just our personal opinion.
Yeah, I actually just saw that Amazon's rolling out a beta program for using AI for audiobooks. So notice I said beta. So they're going to be rolling out a beta program because the truth is right now, if you wanted to listen to any book in your Kindle library, you can ask Alexa and she'll read it to you. And it sounds very robotic and it sounds very, she does try and do voice inflection. I had her read one that actually had some French words and she spoke French very well. I didn't know what she was saying because I don't know French, but it's pretty good. So, you can have Alexa read that to you, but it's not going to sound the same as when a human reads it, especially if you're an author who is very well known. You're the one who should be reading that book. Because if I go and listen to an audiobook that Tony Robbins didn't read and it was Tony Robbins the author, I would think, why isn't this Tony's voice, right? Like you got to, if it's someone really well notable, you want to have them read it themselves. So, okay, now I'm gonna share my screen and show you the real-time example. So we have Dorothy who said the travel agent. So let me share my screen and I'll show you what I'm gonna do here. So share my screen. All right. So can you see my screen here? I think you can. Yeah. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm first going to tell AI thank you because you want to be nice to your assistant. And then I'm going to say, now write a book chapter outline for a travel agent. Infuse my text with vivid, evocative language that creates a lasting, unforgettable image in my reader's mind. I want them to be transported to the scene and feel every detail. So I'm going to go ahead and submit that. And let's see what AI comes up with for that. It's going to take a minute, probably because I haven't been in here for a minute. Let's see. Taking a second. There it goes. Oh, it says it's having trouble. Let me just refresh. Sometimes I just have to refresh. Okay. Now regenerate. Okay, here it goes. All right. Ooh, I like the title. The Wanderlust Chronicles, Crafting Unforgettable Journeys with a Travel Agent's Expertise. Ooh, that sounds good. Who wants to read that? So chapter 1, Embarking on the Journey of a Lifetime. And then it gives you examples of what you could do. Chapter 2, The Enchanting World of Destination Selection. Chapter 3, Creating Magical Itineraries, a Symphony of Sights and Sounds. Chapter 4, look how awesome these are. Culinary, cultural immersion, chasing the elements, traveling with a purpose. Oh, navigating the unpredictable. That's always fun. The art of being a travel maestro. Oh, I like that heading. Endless horizons. Awesome. So that was really good. So you can see like it gives you a really good basis for what it could be, right? It's giving you a really good outline. Dorothy likes it. That's good. Giving you an outline of what you could write about. And of course you could move those chapters around, rearrange it. You got to add in your own stuff. I'm sure you already have blogs or articles or things that you're thinking of for your book that you can infuse in there.
Isn't that amazing how fast that it happens? And again, you can make that your own voice and then fill in the blanks there, but it gets that idea factory going. So
Mhm.
let's dive into a little bit now how to write that best-selling book, because a lot of it has to do with the writing, and then the other part is the marketing to hit the bestseller list. So you can DIY this, right? But there's really no guarantee that it will be a bestseller, and the book will actually work for your business and include the details that you want, so you can get those new clients and get on those stages. So 3 things when you're writing a best-selling book. So the first thing when someone opens a book is the introduction. What does the introduction do? Well, it tells them why it's so important, why you're the person to teach them about this topic, and why your book is the best one to read. So you want to show the benefits and the outcome, like the dream, like what happens after you read this book. You're going to know how to take the best trips and pick the best travel agent. So maybe you've been struggling with deciding where to go on your trip, but now this is going to show you how to do that. And this is a great place to use AI, like Jen just showed you how fast that was, if you put in the right questions with the right details to get the right answers. And you can do reiterations over and over again. So the next place that you look is the table of contents. So a lot of people try and be really fancy here and come up with these fancy little titles for their chapters, and no one really knows what the chapter is about based on what they're saying. So you want to not be cryptic here. You want to talk like the reader talks, right? So you want to talk about the problem and a solution, or the benefit, right, from that chapter. So you want the chapter titles to entice the reader going, oh my gosh, they would even like turn to a chapter going, I want to know about that. My family has dementia in it. It's genetic through some of my aunts. My dad had it. And I was reading Tony Robbins' book about health. And I opened the book and I turned to the chapter on dementia. I'm like, oh, he's got something onto the top things to help stop dementia. So I turned right to that chapter. I knew there was something in that book for me that I wanted to read. And that's what you want to have your readers do. So chapter titles are really, really important. The next thing is, when you start your book, we encourage people, like Jen said, to have personal stories in there. And people struggle with, well, I really want to tell like a memoir, my personal life, but then I want to also write a business book because I know so much. And we believe you can combine those 2 things together, where you're telling part of your personal story based on what you've learned and your expertise, and the stories show that. So, but please don't start with, I was born and then this happened. So I'll use Coach Roy Young's book called Walking in the Shadows of Footsteps. And we started his book out, he worked with us, by him having a heart attack. You're like, oh my gosh. So it was like a detailed description of him having a heart attack. And then we kind of left you hanging there. And you had to go further in the book to find out what happened. So it was like a shocking hook to start the story. So you don't have to start at the beginning of your life. Start with something that will entice the readers, whether it's a short story or something that's going to grab their attention from the beginning of the book. Okay. So we talked about the introduction, the table of contents, and the beginning of the book. So the next thing we're going to talk into real briefly is the marketing for your book. So to me, one of the most important things that's going to grab somebody's attention, they're looking for your book on Amazon or they're walking through the airport, is the book cover. The book cover is so, so key. It's more important, I think, than anything else, because they're scanning through. They might have searched for a topic, could be leadership, could be, I know, knitting for all I know, but they're going to scan through and they're looking at that cover that grabs their attention, the color, the contrast in it. So I'm going to tell you right now, please, please, please do not skimp on your book cover. Make sure you hire somebody to do this. You hire a graphic artist to do this. Please don't do it yourself. We've even had authors come to us and like, I have my book cover done, but they still don't have the back done or the spine done. So it is a 3 parts to your cover. And there's just so much that goes into it that please, please, please hire somebody professional to do your book cover. The other thing that's really important, of course, that I don't have time to dive into a lot today, but is the title of your book that it's grabbing, the subtitle. We work with our authors to make sure the subtitle has keywords in it. I met with 3 authors last week who had books up. They're working on their second book, and I was so surprised. all three of them did not have a subtitle for their book. So you really want to have a subtitle. So Amazon clicks into the subtitle and the keywords so people can find your book, and they're using their search engine to show it to the people who are interested in your book. Other thing that's really important is your book description, and make sure whether you're doing it or you have a publisher doing it, they pick the right keywords and the right categories. Super, super important. The other thing is, now if you're going to work with a publisher, what should you look for when you're working for the publisher? I always say make sure that they're going to have your book hit a bestseller list, right? That their other authors are hitting bestseller. We worked with Dre Evans, and his publisher couldn't get him to Wall Street Journal USA Today. So he hired us on top of his publishing company to run that for him. So make sure that they're going to do a marketing campaign and they have a history of success of hitting bestseller list, of hitting Wall Street Journal USA Today. Make sure they do that. Another thing that's really important is the book is in your name, so you have control over it. You can change the prices for your marketing, and that you get all the royalties. So I call this the Taylor Swift method. Taylor Swift, as you know, the singer, she had to redo almost her whole content library because she didn't own the IP of all of her songs. So we want to make sure that you own your intellectual property. All of our authors own that. It's 100% in their name, and make sure you get a thumb drive of everything they create for you. Because if not, if you want to do something else with your book or send it to a printer in China and print thousands of them, and you don't have any of that, then you don't have your final edited version and formatted version. You're really between a rock and a hard space. And this has happened to us before. Another important thing is to make sure you have a call to action in your book where you're directing people to sign up for something that you're giving away, something they can connect with you, whether it's your website, because Amazon does not give you the people's information who bought your book. So this is also really important. It's kind of a side note, not necessarily a bestseller thing, but something to grow your list. So I will tell you, one of the questions that we get asked all the time is, Jen and Melanie, can you help me write my book? And the answer is yes. We help people just like you every single day. So you might ask, so you've given us a lot of great information today, but what is the next step? What's the next step for you? So today we're offering for you to sign up for our Finish Your Book workshop. Jen, tell them a little bit about it.
Yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about it. So what we're going to be doing is a full day workshop that's going to help you write your book. We're going to do this in January of 2024, so coming right up. And what you're going to get is everything you need to finish your book, including that title and subtitle. And Melanie and I are going to be right by your side the whole time, making sure that all your needs are met. And we're going to do this in a group, but we're going to have hands-on exercises. We're going to have a day-long experience, and you're going to get your book outlined and structured. And we're going to also help you create the content for each chapter.
And we're going to have a lot of fun doing it as well. And you're just going to feel so confident that you have experts that are Wall Street Journal, USA Today authors, and publishers that do this all the time. Normally, when we work and do a VIP day, we charge $12,000. So we wanted to do something to really help people to get their book written. So we're offering this workshop today, not for $12,000, not for $5,000. We're offering it for under $2,000. We're offering it for $1,997 today. So it's an easy sign up so you can really get momentum and get your book done. The link is the elitebestseller.com workshop.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and put that in the chat right now. And you can go to elitebestseller.com workshop.
Yeah.
And then I'll actually just share my screen, and then Melanie, you can continue on telling them about everything they're going to get.
Sure. And we're going to create a bonus for you. We decided what would everybody really like that would be helpful, that they wouldn't have the expense or have to get someone else to do for them, and keep the momentum going and the excitement going. So I don't think we've ever offered this before, but we are doing this. And this workshop is just for a limited amount of people because we want everyone to feel super special and to really get your book done, right? To really get your content out there. So we want to have a super special experience. But the bonus is going to be a custom made book cover for you for your book. So during the workshop, we're going to work with you to get that title done and subtitle done. So you're going to have the cover of your book and ready to go. You're going to have your book you're going to be working on your book, getting all this content done. And then you're going to have your cover done too, ready to go and be uploaded to Amazon and Ingram to get it done. So normally a custom cover like this can be anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000. So we wanted to include this for you today when you sign up for the Finish Your Book workshop to give you encouragement to get that book done.
Yeah, so not only are you going to have your book done, but we're going to help you come up with that title and subtitle, and also help you get that content written. So you'll be like getting your hand held, getting it all done.
So whether you've never thought about writing a book, or you've been thinking about writing it for a while, or maybe you started writing it, but you didn't know exactly what you wanted to write about, then this workshop is really for you.
Yeah, so now we're going to take some questions and answers. So we do have a few already, but if you have any questions, please put them in the chat so we can answer them. Let me go back to one. Let's see. Oh yeah, what is the meaning of a draft? So a draft manuscript. Zulkarnain had a question about that. So really a draft manuscript is your first draft. It means like the first typewritten manuscript, your story, your book. It's all on a Word document. That's your draft manuscript. And your very first one is going to be kind of rough, meaning you don't have an editor, no one has looked at it. It's just going to be you, and you might be rearranging that, putting things in different order. That's your draft manuscript. And then let's see if we have another question.
And I'll talk about the draft a little bit too. So
Sure.
the draft, we always say it's, the messy middle kind of. So it's like, get it all written, get it everything in every chapter. And that's what we're going to get done during this workshop is get that draft done. And then you'll go through and do a final read and start editing. And then we're going to also talk about the next steps from there about beta readers and other ways to get it all polished up and finished up.
Yeah. Okay, one of the questions about the book cover is, what is your favorite cover design or color for your cover design? So like Melanie was saying earlier, you want to have contrast in your book. So we tell people never have a white cover. And the reason why, it might look good in a bookstore, but if your book is on Amazon and it's a little thumbnail this big and it's white, it's going to blend in with the background of Amazon. So you don't want it to blend in, you want it to stand out. So bright colors, you want it to be trending, because kind of look at what the trends are for book covers.
So, and the other thing is, this is what I love. Stephanie Chung just signed with us this week to work with us. And she said, you know what I like is that you are like a business partner with me. You're not just a publisher. So my answer to that question is the color of your book should be your brand colors. Right? Because your book cover shouldn't be purple and gold if your brand colors on your website are red, white, and blue. It needs to have some consistency. Just like when you're decorating a house, you don't have all like wild colors in all different places. It looks like it doesn't go together. So we work with you, and that's what we're going to do at this workshop too, is talk about your business, the purpose of your book. And so your book cover needs to reflect what your business is. And if you don't have brand colors, you're just starting out, guess what? We work with you to figure out what those colors are. We've done that all the time for all of our authors. So that's the answer to that question.
Awesome. And then we have two more questions. So Zulkarnain also asked, what's the meaning of a hardcover book? So let me tell you the difference. So there's an ebook, of course, which is an electronic digital book that you can read on any device. There's a paperback book, which means that the cover is soft. Someone might call it a soft cover, but it's a paperback book. And then you have a hardcover book, which is actually like a case binding, which means it's really hard. And a hardcover book is usually more prestigious. Sometimes it has a jacket on it. You can remove the jacket. That's a hardcover book. And then, of course, the other platform is the audiobook. Yeah. But those are the four platforms of a book.
And Diane asked, how done will my book actually be at the end of the workshop? So the goal is for you to have that rough draft all finished. So every chapter is laid out, and there's content in every chapter, and you're feeling like, I have a rough draft. I have a full manuscript rough draft done and in my hands. And you have a title, a working title and a working subtitle. And guess what? A book cover too. So that's what you're going to have. So, and that's a great place. It's like really your book is done and then you're fine tuning it.
Yeah, so go ahead and go over to elitebestseller.com/workshop and sign up. We do have a limited availability, so we don't have that many seats because we don't want too many people to be involved, because then it gets too many people and we can't give you that one-on-one attention.
Yep.
We have one more question and then we're going to wrap up. And the question is, should we have a draft manuscript before we start? Melanie, do you want to address that one?
Yeah, no, you can just come with your idea. Or trying to vacillate between a couple ideas, and we want to flush that out during that time. So you don't have to have that. That's what we're going to accomplish that day. So excuse me, I want you to picture a day. Let's say, someone you know or don't even know on social media is talking about your book on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, and you feel like you're a celebrity. I want you to picture a day when maybe you're at a business conference and an ideal client comes up to you and says, "Hey, I just read your book, and you know what? I want to do business with you." I want you to picture a day when you feel great that your book is helping your business and changing the world. So we're almost out of time. So I just want to leave you with this. We know writing a book can seem pretty daunting, but that's why we're here. We're here to take the daunting out of it for you. And I know there are people in your life who have been waiting for you to write that book. They might have said, "Are you working on your book yet?" And they're waiting for you to write it. And that's probably why you're here today. So now you understand the power of the book, that it can leave a legacy and what it can do for your business. So now is the time to write your book and leverage it to increase your revenue, to gain credibility, and be known as an expert in your field. Now is the time to write that book, to leave that legacy for generations to come. Now is the time to write your book, because you know what? You deserve to become that best-selling author. So sign up now for our Finish Your Book workshop, because now is the time. So go to elitebestseller.com workshop, sign up today, get that draft done. Know that you're going to be an author in 2024. Have your rough draft all done. Feel like your title's done, your subtitle's done, and your book cover's done. So now is the time. So thanks everybody for coming. We really, really enjoyed this. Put in the chat if you like this and you got a lot of content out of it. And say yes if you're signing up for our workshop, so we know that you're coming. Give us a big yes if you're coming to the workshop in January. We're really excited to work with you. Again, you'll be working with me personally. You'll be working with Jen Foster personally. And we may have a surprise visitor. Our resident ghostwriter, I believe, will probably make an appearance during this time. So you're going to get some of her expertise as well. So I think Jen is coming back. There she is. And there's the link, elitebestseller.com workshop. So tell us if you're going to be joining us and if you got something out of this.
Yeah, we'll look forward to seeing you at the workshop. We'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.